Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to things from the 2010s that don't exist anymore. Like, it doesn't feel like that long ago, the 2010s. You know, 2019 was only 5 years ago. However, things have changed a lot. Like, it just felt like, maybe this is nostalgia speaking, but didn't it feel like the 2010s was just a simpler time? Maybe it's because I was, younger, less responsibilities perhaps, but it just felt like the world wasn't quite as it's hard to put a word to it, but just things felt a lot more loose and relaxed. Could be wrong, and I'm sure back then people felt the same about the 2000s. So, maybe it's just, retrospective nostalgia. But I'm trying to think, what doesn't exist anymore? I mean, maybe people's mental health, perhaps?
It's quick.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for things that were around during the 2010s, but are no longer.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What was that?
Number 10, Netflix mailing DVDs.
Wow.
For those who
that
only
used to
know
happen?
Netflix as a streaming service, allow us to tell you about how the company started.
Go to Netflix.com, make a list of the movies you want to see, and in about one business day, you'll get 3 DVDs.
Netflix was always about movies. In the late 1990s, when they first came on the scene, they did so as a DVD by mail service. They would send you DVDs in the mail, you would watch them, and send them back.
Keep them as long as you want without late fees.
It was a great concept, and by February of 2007, they'd already mailed out 1 billion DVDs.
Wow.
Then they got into streaming. By 2009, streaming had overtaken DVD shipments, and the trend just kept growing. In September of 2023, Netflix sent out its last DVD. Most people probably would have assumed the mail service part of the business had ended even earlier than that. Number 9.
Man, I had no idea. I always thought Netflix was streaming. I thought it stood for Internet Flix. But I suppose Internet Flix could also mean, you get the DVD on the internet and then they send it to your house. When was the last time you watched a DVD? Honestly, for me, it's been well over 10 years, I'd say. 10 years maybe?
PlayStation Vita. While the PlayStation Portable gets most of the nostalgia love when it comes to PS handheld devices, we hope there are some of you who remember the PlayStation Vita with some fondness.
Oh, it's like a PSP, isn't it?
Released in Japan in 2011, and in North America and Europe the following year, the Vita sold well at first, but saw a pretty big drop-off after the launch excitement wore off.
Front and rear cameras, and that it's Wi-Fi, so you can play it in real time with friends all over the world?
General opinions of the device also seemed to cool with the passage of time, and sales numbers never reached what Sony had hoped.
The game catalog was not good enough. There were no AAA titles as advertised.
It probably didn't help that during this same time was the growth in smartphones, which meant we all had handheld gaming systems in our pockets. The Vita was discontinued in 2019. Number 8.
It looks just like a PSP. I had a PSP. I can't remember what happened to it. I think somebody stole it. Yeah. No, that was my Nokia N-Gage. Do you guys remember the Nokia N-Gage phone? I had one of those, and I fell asleep on a train, and I woke up, and just a headphone jack was just swinging in the air. Somebody stole it off me.
Papyrus. Papyrus, the material, was first manufactured in Egypt in the 3rd millennium BCE. Papyrus, the stationery and greeting card store, opened its first location in 1973, and by 1991, there were 37 stores across the United States.
How did Papyrus come to be?
Well, it's really a great story, a true entrepreneurial story.
In 2009, that number grew to a few hundred, but it was all downhill from there.
Papyrus has announced it will close all of its 254 stores in the coming weeks.
Papyrus attributed their downfall to a few factors: overexpansion, an increase in digital shopping and subsequent decrease in in-person shopping, and strain from the 2008 financial crisis. In 2020, the Papyrus stores that were still around all closed down, and the company is no longer.
The announcement comes after the retail group reportedly filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection this month. Going out of business sales are now underway.
Number 6.
Man, online shopping like Amazon has probably ended thousands of businesses. Thousands. It feels like it came out of nowhere. Like, it just was like there. And then everybody just started buying stuff from Amazon. Like the bookstore destroyed by Amazon.
7. Nokia Lumia smartphone. We can't talk about the Nokia Lumia smartphone without talking about Microsoft's attempts to get into the mobile phone game in the 2010s.
It looks like a cool phone. I kind of like the look.
That's because the Lumia phones were exclusively running the Windows Phone operating system. Windows Phone definitely had its fans, and the Lumia was a well-liked device with sales growing fairly consistently from 2011 through 2014.
It's a good-looking phone. I like it, and I like the tile UI.
So what happened in 2014? Well, Microsoft, which completed the purchase of Nokia in 2014, began to gradually eliminate the Nokia name. In 2015, they introduced the Microsoft Lumia, running the new Windows 10 mobile OS. Sales began to drop, and by 2017, the Lumia was pretty much done. Number 6.
Do you know what they should have done? They should have let you have Android on it if you want. Because, then it could have competed with the Samsungs, the Motorola's, the LGs. But yeah, just having the Windows OS on it, as nice looking as it is.
iPod. 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Ah, yes. I had 5 iPods, man. Those were the days.
Well, these days, anyone with a Spotify, YouTube Music, or Apple Music subscription has way more than 1,000 songs in their pocket. Back at the turn of the century, this was a huge deal.
The coolest thing about iPod is that your entire music library fits in your pocket.
When Apple launched the iPod line in 2001, the ability to load up all of our MP3 files onto one cool device was as exciting as the company's famed Silhouette ad campaign made it seem.
Nostalgia!
Remember the click wheel? How awesome was that?
Yeah, it
But while there
was.
are plenty of us who still cherish our old iPods, 2022 was the final year of their production.
As we look back on the iPod, I'll keep mine in case it's worth something one day.
Number 5.
Man, I had the iPod Mini. I had a gold one. I had a regular iPod, the black one. I had an iPod Nano. Yeah, and then I got my first iPhone. I think the first one was the iPhone 4, maybe. Man, the iPod was such a cool device, wasn't it? Back in the day, it was so cool. Game changer, complete game changer.
Microsoft Kinect. Motion sensor controlled gaming without the need for physical controllers sounds pretty cool.
And we thought, this will be fun to play with. And it was.
And it was fairly revolutionary back in 2010 when Microsoft introduced their Kinect. Indeed, it was pretty cool, and initial sales were impressive. So much so that their 8 million sales in the first 60 days set a Guinness World Record for the fastest selling consumer electronic device.
Unexpected things.
Cool
Hopeful things.
But they couldn't keep up the pace. By 2017, after officially discontinuing the Kinect in favor of honing in on more in-demand products, Microsoft informed the public that they'd sold a total of 35 million units.
Even though the world keeps asking us what we'll do with Kinect next, we're just as excited to ask the world the same thing.
Number 4.
Dude, watching that commercial gave me chills for some reason. Like it unlocked a memory. My little brother had a Kinect. Yeah, that was a cool device. Cool commercial too.
Wii U. The Wii U is often the forgotten Nintendo console.
Time to upgrade to Wii U.
Lasting from 2012 through 2017, the Wii U was the follow-up to the highly successful Wii and the predecessor to the popular Nintendo Switch. It had the cool, innovative Wii U gamepad with a built-in touchscreen, and it was the first Nintendo console to support HD graphics.
Is that a shortcut?
Maybe.
But sales never reached the levels Nintendo would have wanted, and the Wii U became more of a bridge between beloved console generations than a standout device on its own. Sure, some of us still play on our Wii U's, but most folks have moved on in their gaming lives.
And that's how it's done.
Number 3. Portable GPS units. Sure, most of us have a portable GPS unit in our pocket now. It's called our smartphone. But in this case, we aren't talking about our phone with Google Maps on it. We're talking those old school, yes, it's already old school, Garmin or...
Garmin. That was the company. Garmin. My dad used to have one of those. It was so clunky. It was like having one of those big old computer desktop screens, monitors, attached to the windscreen.
TomTom type devices with GPS and maps, and nothing else.
Let's call it an early holiday gift.
TomTom, yeah.
Nice. At the time, these personal navigation assistants felt like a revolutionary upgrade from paper maps, and they were. But with the explosion of smartphones and map apps, these devices have been rendered largely obsolete.
Oh, yes! We built this city! Bum, bum, bum.
To be fair, they do still exist, but serve a fairly niche market, primarily used for outdoor activities like hiking in remote areas.
We built this city.
Number 2.
Man, the smartphone just destroyed. It's like Amazon. Just one thing just destroyed like a massive array of like companies and products. Yeah, like Garmin must have been pissed when the iPhone came out.
Vine. You might think that 6 seconds isn't long enough to do anything
TikTok.
Meaningful, but for 5 years, Vine proved that it most definitely was long enough.
What is Vine? Basically, Vine is Instagram for video.
The video sharing site that allowed users to post 6-second long clips
TikTok.
became very popular and even launched some of its users into the limelight. Can you say Shawn Mendes, for example?
You click the camera.
Okay.
You just hold the middle of the screen.
Okay.
In 2013, Vine was a revolution, but as competitors got into the space and creators started moving on to other platforms, Vine just couldn't keep going. By 2016, more than half of the app's most popular users had moved to other services. In 2017, Vine said goodbye.
While it may have been gone just as soon as it began, the impact that Vine has made on the online video industry will no doubt last for several years to come.
Hopefully the owners of Vine sold out at the top, or at least sold a big chunk of the business to, you know, some other company, like just to make money from it. It would suck to have done really well and then just ended up with a worthless company.
We continue. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Blackberry phones everywhere. When's the last time you saw a Blackberry phone in the wild?
What kind of mad genius is behind this?
There was a time in the 2000s and 2010s when it would have been very easy to answer that question, because Blackberry phones were everywhere. Sure, iPhones and Androids were beginning to take over, but Blackberry lovers were a very dedicated bunch, and getting them off those keypad devices was a Herculean task.
Do you remember asking your friend for their BB pin, for their Blackberry pin?
Classic is everything you want from a Blackberry and so much more.
The phones didn't get the nickname Crackberry by accident. Blackberry sales reached their peak in 2011, but by Q4 of 2016, they sold so few units that Blackberry's market share was nearly non-existent.
BlackBerry desperately tried to stay afloat by flooding the market with products. In the same time period it took Apple to release 4 iPhones, BlackBerry released over 30 unique devices.
Wow. BlackBerry stopped manufacturing devices in 2016 and shut down its services on January 4th, 2022. What do you miss most from the 2010s? Let us know in the comments.
I miss you.
Did you enjoy this video?
Sheesh. Man, that was a blast from the past. Pure memory lane. You know, the BlackBerry, the Kinect, the iPod, man. The iPod was a big one. That was probably one of my first sort of like devices or possessions that I just loved like so much. It was a game changer, because before that it was the CD player and the cassette player. I had a cassette player for like a very brief period of time. You could only listen to one cassette at a time. You had to rewind it manually. Then you had the CD player, which was maybe it was a bit better, because with a CD player, if you walked really quickly, the CD would skip, you know, and you could only play a CD at a time. The iPod just changed the game. To anyone who is too old to remember the iPod or have had an iPod, going from the CD player or an MP3 player to the iPod was just a game changer. You could see the covers for the songs. It was just like, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.